Alright, so lesson natin for today is about PFRS for SME. So hahatiin ko sa dalawang part yung ating discussion. Yung unang part is introduction about the PFRS for SME, and then yung second part natin is the differentiation between every account title na gumagamit ng full PFRS at saka ng PFRS for SME. By the way, as of today na dinidiscuss ko itong lesson na to, meron na tayong tatlong standalone accounting standards na ginagamit. Pag sinabi nating standalone, different yung mga standards from the other standards. Okay? So, meron tayo ngayon tinatawag, yung dati nating ginagamit, which is the full PFRS or the full Philippine Financial Reporting Standards. And then, meron tayong PFRS for Small Medium Entities ng 2009 and effective January 1, 2010. And then, meron tayong bago ngayon, yung tinatawag na PFRS for SE or Small Entities. Okay? Kasi meron tayong mga entities that are below SME, which are called micro entities. And they are allowed to use this standard, the PFRS for SE. Although, syempre, may choice pa rin ng mga micro entities to use full PFRS or PFRS for SME. Hindi mo naman sila pwedeng pigilan kung ano yung gusto nilang gamitin. But, of course, bakit ba nagkaroon ng dalawang standard na yon aside sa full PFRS, yung PFRS for SME at saka PFRS for SE? The very purpose of that is to simplification ng reporting na paggamit ng standard. Okay, kasi maraming complication ng full PFRS na pagdating sa mga small medium entities at saka sa mga small entities, hindi naman siya necessary or hindi naman siya material o hindi naman siya kailangang i-disclose or mag-take effect or i-recognize o kung ano man. Okay? So, the very purpose is for simplification. Okay, so let us now proceed to the part 1 of the discussion. So, kailangan nating matutunan dito is of course the basic purpose of the issuance of PFRS for SME, nabanggit ko nga kanina, for simplification ng reporting, and then define SME, and then yung sa second part ng discussion natin is provide the distinct differences between full PFRS and PFRS for SME. By the way, for the purpose of this discussion, ang i-discuss ko lang ay yung mga covered ng Financial Accounting 1, 2, 3 or ng Intermediate Accounting 1, 2, 3. The differences na hindi ko madidiscuss will be discussed in the Advanced Financial Accounting and Reporting or yung AFAR. Alright, so let us proceed. Okay, only the provisions of PFRS for SME that relate to financial topics are discussed in this chapter. So, kung meron mang hindi ma-discuss, yun ay may ma-discuss sa part 1 and part 2 ng AFAR. Okay, so sabi dito, the purpose of PFRS for SME, okay, was developed as a separate standalone standard. Pag sinabi mong standalone standard, hindi siya pwedeng pakialaman ng full, hindi siya pwedeng pakialaman ng SE, okay? And intended to apply for the general purpose financial statements of small medium-sized entities. Pag sinabi mong general purpose financial statements, ito ay provided for the wide range of users katulad ng mga internal and external users. Hindi ito ipino-provide or hindi ito ginagamit sa financial statements na special purpose or ginawa mo or customized for a particular purpose. Okay, general purpose, which is the economic decision making. Okay, PFRS for SME is only the minimum standard that qualifying entities need to adopt for the preparation and presentation of the financial statements. As much, SMEs may nevertheless opt to adopt a full PFRS. Anong ibig sabihin? Kahit ikaw ay qualified as PFRS for or qualified ka as SME dahil ikaw ay nasa SME qualification at qualified kang gumamit ng PFRS for SME, you are also allowed to use full PFRS. Okay? Pwede yun. Okay, but of course, sabi ko nga, kung hindi naman kinakailangan gumamit ng full-blown PFRS at kailangan ay to simplify lang the reporting and for the understanding of the users, so pwede mo nang gamitin yung PFRS for SME. Although, meron mga companies akong hawak before na ang qualification nila is SME, pero dahil lang ginagamit na nila ay before ay full PFRS, ayaw na nilang magkaroon ng transition. Okay, from full to PFRS for SME. Kasi nga naman, pag magta-transfer ka from full PFRS to PFRS for SME, at lalo na kung maraming differences, masyadong magawa. Dahil comparative period ang gagawin mo. Sabi natin, kung comparative yan, at gagawin mo next year na ikaw ay SME, dapat, as of from the very beginning, SME ka talaga ang ginagamit na standard. Kasi hindi comparable. Yung last year gagamitin mo full PFRS, tapos ngayong taon gagamitin mo SME, hindi siya comparable. So, i-adjust mo siya as if ang ginagamit mo before ay PFRS for SME. Ang sabi sa standard, as of the beginning of the earliest comparative period. Okay? So, yung pinakamaagang date. Okay? At saka, kung sa full PFRS, kapag ikaw ay nagkaroon ng changes, yung mga retroactive, retrostatement, etc., required ka mag-prepare ng tinatawag na third balance sheet, which is the earliest period. Okay? So, for example, ang date ng reporting period natin is December 31, 2020, and then comparative period is December 21, 2019, kailangan mong i-prepare yung January 1, 2019 as the third balance sheet. But for the case of PFRS for SME, the third balance sheet is not required. Okay, but you have to prepare the comparative period from the earliest or from the beginning of the earliest period. Okay, yun yung importante doon. Okay, so next, authority of the PFRS for SME. Sabi dito, okay, based on the SEC guidelines. Okay, ang sinabi kasi sa ito kasing PFRS for SME ay inadapt natin dun sa IFRS for SME. Ganun naman lagi we comply with the International Financial Reporting Standards. Okay, but of course, there are modifications. So, itong modification na ginawa ng SEC na makikita natin sa SEC guideline ay hindi mo makikita sa IFRS for SME. Dalawa lang kasi ang binigay na criteria ng IFRS for SME. Bago ikaw maging SME, nakalagay doon na gagamitin ang PFRS or ang IFRS for SME for general purpose, and dapat yung gumagamit nito ay walang public accountability. So, ganun lang siya, general. So, ginawa ng SEC is isinet siya or i-customize siya for Philippine setting, at ito yung mga naging requirements. Okay, number 1, paano ba mag-qualify ang isang corporation as SME na pwedeng gumamit ng PFRS for SME? Number 1, you are not publicly listed and do not hold the assets in a fiduciary capacity for a broad group of outsiders. Okay, paliwanag natin yan. Pag sinabi mong corporation na publicly listed, ibig sabihin, nagbebenta ka ng stocks sa market, o ang iyong corporation ay nakalista sa Philippine Stock Exchange at makikita yan ng mga tao na gusto mag-invest kahit i-search mo lang sa Google, kahit i-search mo lang sa internet. Okay? So, ikaw ay publicly listed. Therefore, ikaw ay publicly accountable dahil nanghihingi ka ng kapital sa mga investors sa public. Okay? So, kapag ikaw ay publicly listed entity or publicly listed corporation, kahit na ikaw ay SME pa, okay, you are required to comply with full PFRS. Hindi mo pwedeng gamitin ang PFRS for SME kapag ikaw ay publicly listed. Sino pa? Do not hold assets in a fiduciary capacity. Class, ang ibig sabihin ng fiduciary na word is based on trust and confidence. Pag sinabi mong fiduciary capacity, ipinagkakatiwala sa iyo ng mga tao o ng isang entity ang kanilang properties katulad ng cash. Okay? Ano ang mga example na ipinagkakatiwala ng tao ang kanilang mga ari-arian? Katulad ng bangko. Meron silang fiduciary capacity kasi pinagkakatiwala mo sa kanila ang pera. Ang insurance company, pinagkakatiwala mo ang pera sa kanila. Mga pre-need companies, mutual funds, dealer ng stock market, okay? Yung mga trust funds, di ba? Meron yung mga fiduciary capacity for a broad group of outsiders. So, kung halimbawa ako, inilagay ko ang pera ko sa bangko, si bangko, hindi siya pwedeng mag-prepare ng financial statements na based lang sa SME. Kahit siya qualified as SME, kailangan full PFRS pa rin. Dahil kapag full PFRS ang ginamit, talagang mahigpit ang disclosure. Okay? At saka itong mga publicly listed entity at saka mga entity na mayroong fiduciary capacity, yan ay heavily regulated by the government. So, hindi lang SEC at hindi lang BIR ang kino-complyan nila. Yung iba nagko-comply sa Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, yung mga insurance company ay nagko-comply sa Insurance Commission. So, yung mga public listed ay nag-comply sa Philippine Stock Exchange. So, hindi talaga pwedeng PFRS for SME lang gagamitin. Hindi pwedeng simplified. Kailangan full-blown ang gagamitin. Okay? So, okay tayo sa number 1. Number 2, have total assets between 3 million to 350 million or kung may liability ka na 3 million to 250 million. So, qualified ka to use PFRS for SME. Okay. Number 3, that is not required to file FS under the SRC Rule 68.1. So, ano yun? Mga listed entities whose securities are traded in the exchange market or the Philippine Stock Exchange with at least 50 million and 200 or more shareholders each holding at least 100 shares of class of equity shares. So, katulad ng nabanggit natin kanina, ito yung mga publicly listed entities na hindi pwedeng mag-prepare or hindi pwedeng gumamit ng PFRS for SME. Talagang kailangan compliant sila sa full PFRS. Sino pa? Number 4, that is not in the process of filing financial statements for the purpose of issuing any class of instruments in a public market. Hindi ka nga publicly listed entity, pero meron kang plano na mag-file as publicly listed. Kaya sa kalagay dito, in the process of filing FS for the purpose of issuing instruments in the public market. Ibig sabihin, mag-i-issue ka ng preference share, mag-i-issue ka ng tawag dito, ordinary shares of stock sa public. Hindi pwede. Okay? Kailangan full PFRS kapag ganun. Okay, number 5, that is not a holder of secondary license. Nabanggit na natin kanina, katulad ng banks. So, sa lahat ng klase ng banks na, rural bank, commercial banks, ano pa? Investment houses, finance company, insurance, securities, mutual fund, and pre-need companies. So, hindi pwede kang gumamit ng PFRS for SME. Kailangan ikaw ay full PFRS. Number 6, that is not a public utility. So, ano yung mga public utility? Katulad ng Meralco, Maynilad, Prime Water, at saka yung mga transportation. So, yan kasi ay publicly use. Okay? At publicly use, ibig sabihin, may concern ng public. So, kailangan ng full disclosure. At kapag kailangan ng full disclosure, kailangan full PFRS ang iyong gagamitin. Okay? So, malinaw yung nakasaad sa SEC guidelines, ha? Ito yung mga allowed gumamit ng PFRS for SME. Kung hindi ka mag-qualify dito sa mga requirements na to, full PFRS ang iyong gagamitin. Okay. Sino-sino yung mga exempt from PFRS for SME? Okay. Kung babasahin mo itong mga to, okay, lahat yan nagko-comply sa full PFRS or nire-require na mag-comply sa full PFRS. So, sa number 1, katulad nito, you are a subsidiary of a parent reporting under full PFRS. So, meron kang parent company, tapos ikaw subsidiary. Si parent mo, di ba, nagpe-prepare yan ng dalawang financial statements. Yung tinatawag na separate financial statements at saka consolidated financial statements. Ngayon, kung siya ay gumagamit ng full PFRS si parent at i-consolidate ka sa kanya, hindi ka pwedeng gumamit ng PFRS for SME dahil magkaiba yung standard na ginagamit nyo. Hindi siya mako-consolidate. Kaya kailangan, kung gumagamit ng full PFRS si parent, kahit na siya ay SME, okay, ikaw required ka ring mag-comply at gumamit ng full PFRS. Okay? Number 2, it is a subsidiary of a foreign parent that will be moving toward full IFRS. So, si foreign parent, of course, gumagamit ng full IFRS. Okay? At subsidiary ka niya, so required ka for consolidation purposes na gumamit ng full PFRS. Number 3, subsidiary ka ng foreign parent. Okay? Tapos, si foreign parent ay moving to full PFRS kasi local ang kanya ng reporting. So, kung siya ay moving to full PFRS, kailangan ikaw ay full PFRS din ang gagamitin. Okay, number 4. It has a short-term projections that show that it will breach the quantitative thresholds set in the criteria of SME. Ano yung sinasabing quantitative thresholds? Yun na ngayon 3 million to 350 million for assets and 3 million to 250 million for liabilities. Baka kasi meron ka ng projection na ikaw ay lalampas dun. Okay? Kapag ikaw ay lalampas dun, at saka yung paglampas na yun ay nakalagay dito, very important, significant and continuing. Hindi pwedeng significant lang. Significant yung increase. So sabi nga, at least 20% and above increase dun sa projection or increase dun sa binigay na criteria or thresholds ng PFRS for SME at saka magtutuloy-tuloy. Okay, hindi pwedeng next year may significant increase and then the following year mawawala na siya. Hindi mo na mako-comply hindi ka nalalampas dun sa quantitative thresholds. Okay? So, kung may projection ka nalalampas ka dun sa quantitative thresholds at saka siya ay magtutuloy-tuloy at significant ng impact, okay, kailangan mag-comply ka sa full PFRS. Sino pa? Ikaw ay part ng group or ng joint venture na nagko-comply sa full PFRS. And then, ikaw ay branch or office foreign entity na yung foreign entity nagko-comply sa full PFRS. Okay, and then ito, okay, very important. Meron kang plan na magkaroon ng IPO or initial public offering. Kailan ginagawa ang initial public offering? Normally, di ba meron ang isang corporation ay meron tinatawag na authorized capital stock. Halimbawa, ang authorized capital stock mo lang ay 200,000 shares. Yung 200,000 shares na yun ay pwede mong ibenta. Ngayon, si 200,000 shares na ibenta mo na lahat. And then, nagpaplano ka na magkaroon ng increase from 200,000 to 1 million shares. So, nagpa-approve ka kay SEC, na-approve ni SEC. Tapos, ang plano mo, kung hindi mabili ng mga existing shareholders yung increase na 800,000 shares, kasi from 200,000 to 1 million, nagpaplano ka na magkaroon ng initial public offering or ino-offer mo na siya sa public. Tuwing kailan ino-offer sa public, ibig sabihin nun, listed ka sa Philippine Stock Exchange kasi i-offer mo sa public. O therefore, kapag ganun, kailangan mong mag-comply sa full PFRS. At saka nakalagay dito, within the next 2 years. Okay? At saka concrete plan, ha? Naandun yung word na concrete. Huwag kakalimutan. Okay? Number 8, if you are a company or a subsidiary that is mandated to report in full PFRS. Halimbawa, maliit kang bangko. Okay? SME ka naman. Naando ka sa quantitative threshold, pero dahil nga meron kang public accountability o yung tinatawag din nating fiduciary capacity, hindi pwede. Kailangan full PFRS ka. Okay? Or, number 9, it has been preparing FS using full PFRS and has decided to liquidate its assets. So, exemption ka sa paggamit ng SME. Kailangan ang gagamitin mo ay full PFRS. Okay? Next. Ayan. Punta naman tayo dun sa mga micro entities. Sino-sino ba yung mga micro entities? Ito ay yung may mga total assets or total liabilities that are below 3 million. Tawag sa kanila micro entities. Ngayon, itong si micro entities, sabi ko nga nung una, allowed siya na piliin ang full PFRS or PFRS for SME or other accounting standards applicable. So, ngayon nga, meron na nga lumabas na PFRS for SE or small entities. Pwede niya yung piliin. Okay, sabi dito, however, the micro entity may nevertheless elect to apply PFRS for SME or even full PFRS if it chooses to. O yung bago nga, PFRS for SE. Okay, hindi mo siya pwedeng pigilan. But of course, if you are a micro entity and I am your consultant, I will advise for you to use the PFRS for small entities only. Okay, for simplification. Okay. And then, other acceptable basis of accounting, micro entities may use any of the following: income tax basis or cash basis accounting. Bakit inaalaw ka na cash basis accounting? Samantalang pag full PFRS, you are required to use accrual basis. Kasi nga, pag mga maliliit na entities, hindi naman masyadong nagmamatter sa kanila yung mga receivable at saka payable. Normally, hindi naman nagpapautang yung mga yan or hindi naman halos nangungutang. Kaya cash basis accounting. Ngayon, kung meron namang mga utang or nagpapautang, okay lang na gamitin mo yung tinatawag na modified accrual. Okay? Modified accrual. Minsan, accrual, minsan cash basis. Tawag doon income tax basis of accounting. Okay? So, yun yung mga pwede mong gamitin daw if you are a micro entity. Okay. Let's go to the transition to PFRS for SME. Transition. Ang ibig sabihin nito, ikaw ay first-time adopter. O yung tinatawag na first-time adoption of PFRS for SME. Kapag hindi ka gumagamit ng PFRS for SME at ang gamit mo ay full PFRS, pero dahil nga na-meet mo yung quantitative threshold ng PFRS for SME, so mag-shift ka from full PFRS to PFRS for SME, tawag sa'yo first-time adopter. Okay, at saka ang tawag doon ay transition. Okay, paano ba nangyayari yung transition na yan? On the initial adoption of the PFRS for SME, so dati ginagamit mo full PFRS kasi wala pa nga nung SME before. An entity shall apply the size criteria using the entity's audited financial statements for the immediately preceding financial reporting period. Okay, ganito yan. So, this year, dahil nga nagkaroon ka ng short projection, this year, halimbawa, ikaw ay magkwa-qualify na for PFRS for SME only. Okay, ang magiging basis daw ay yung nakaraang audited financial statements. At nakalagay talaga ha, audited. Ibig sabihin, may naka-attach na audit opinion ng independent auditor. Okay, meron tayo ditong example. If a first-time adopter presents the first annual financial statements in conformity with the PFRS for SME on December 31, 2020, on a comparative basis, the date of transition to PFRS for SME is January 1, 2019. Bakit January 1, 2019? Bakit hindi December 31, 2019? Kasi nga, sabi, in the earliest comparative period. Okay? Instead of preparing a third balance sheet, dalawang balance sheet lang na comparative pero earliest comparative period ang gagamitin. At ang pinakamaagang mga makikita na comparative period is January 1, 2019. O kung gusto mo, December 31, 2018. So, 1 day lang naman ang difference. Okay? So, yun yung tinatawag na transition for to PFRS for SME. Alright. Ano pa? The entities ceasing to qualify as SME shall adopt the full PFRS unless they qualify as micro entities. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Halimbawa nga ay na-meet mo yung mga criteria for exemption ng PFRS for SME. Halimbawa ay nagplano ka ng maging publicly accountable or nagpapalista ka na sa Philippine Stock Exchange, etc. etc. Ibig sabihin, ceasing, titigil na yung qualification mo sa SME. At pag nangyari yon, kailangan mo na mag-adapt ng full PFRS. So, ganun din yon. Kung dati ang ginagamit mo yung SME and then pupunta ka na to full PFRS, i-a-adjust mo yung iyong financial statements na kailangan as of the beginning, full PFRS ang gamit mo. Okay, kaya yung iba, kung full PFRS lang ginagamit nila, and then sila naman ay qualified as SME, hindi na sila nagkakaroon ng transition. Kasi nga, ang masyadong magawa or impractical, okay, or time consuming. Kaya, ang ginagamit na lang nila, full PFRS. Kasi, at least, kompleto yun for disclosure. But, sabi ko nga, kung mas makakabuti for the understanding of the users of the financial statements, ang paggamit ng PFRS for SME, ay di yun ang gamitin mo. Kasi yun yung applicable naman talaga na standard. And, kung ikaw naman ay micro entities, ang gamitin mo na ay yung PFRS for SE o yung PFRS for small entities. Alright? Okay, so sabi dito, transition period for breaches of the size criteria. Okay, if in the current year, so halimbawa ngayong taon, an SME that uses PFRS for SME ay tumigil daw sa pag-qualify as SME dahil nalampasan niya na yung ceiling. Okay, either mas tumaas or mas bumaba. Okay, of the size of the criteria, such entity may opt to transition to the full PFRS or another acceptable accounting standards in the next accounting period. Okay, so nakasunod daw na accounting period. Kasi sabi nga, 'di ba, ang magiging basis mo ay yung last year na audited financial statement. So next year, ang magiging basis mo ay yung ngayong taon na naging audited financial statements. Okay. Sabi dito sa kasunod na bullet, to warrant the change in the financial reporting framework, the increase or decrease in the size of criteria must be judged based on, anong sabi natin? It should be significant and continuing. At pag sinabing significant, the general rule is, ang change daw ay 20% or more of total assets or total liabilities would be considered significant. Okay. If the increase is, halimbawa ganito, 'di ba? 3 million to 350 million. 350 million ka, nag-increase ng 20% and above, o yung liability nag-increase from 250 million to increase ng 20%. Okay? At pino-project ng company na yung increase ay magiging continuing. Okay? Kailangan mo nang mag-transition to full PFRS. Okay? Or, kung pababa naman, mas mababa, ibig sabihin magiging micro entities ka, magiging qualified ka as micro entities. Okay. May choice ka pa rin na PFRS for SME ang gamitin mo. Or may choice ka pa rin na full PFRS. Okay, pwede naman yun. Alright? So, I guess that's the end of part 1 ng ating discussion. Yung magiging part 2 ng ating discussion is the differences ng treatment pagdating sa recognition, measurement ng mga account na diniscuss natin sa Intermediate Accounting 1 to Intermediate Accounting 2. Okay? And by the way, sa full PFRS, ang ginagamit natin, di ba, ay mga PFRS 1, PFRS 15, etc. etc. Dito, instead of saying PFRS 15 or PFRS 16, ang ginagamit natin section. Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. Okay? Per account title. So, makikita naman natin yung sa mga susunod na discussion. But for the meantime, ito lang muna yung i-discuss natin, the part 1 of the use of PFRS for SME. So, I guess and I hope na malinaw ang lahat. And thank you and enjoy learning.